We often talk about how everything is bigger in Texas. Well, sometimes bigger is a matter of perception. And one way to make something seem bigger is to put it next to something small. So the organizers have done just that here at COTA by taking the beastly 87 Cup cars to the shortest layout this road course can offer. Let's hope it all fits as we get ready to watch Forge Ring Friday, as you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Circuit of the Americas made a big splash when it showed up about a decade ago. To learn more about one of the United States' most prominent road courses, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Circuit of the Americas. The cliche of everything's bigger in Texas rings true for this track in the Lone Star State. Built specifically for Formula One, the number of corners, circuit length, safety features, and general track amenities immediately set this place apart from almost every racing course in the United States. Of the three layouts available, the most widely used is the Grand Prix circuit, which tops out at a whopping 20 turns along nearly 3.5 miles. Many of them have been modeled after well-known sections of European tracks such as Silverstone, Hockenheim, and Istanbul. But compared to those venues, this place still has lots of unique challenges. Turn 1 in particular features the largest elevation change from the lap and culminates in a blind and sharp hairpin. The penultimate corner is just as tough, with its off-camber apex and sudden drop forcing many to escape to the paved runoff on the outside. And though it was meant to lure F1, many other series have now raced here, ranging from IndyCar to WEC, IMSA, and even V8 supercars. Track days are also common, with the SCCA running all types of amateur events to allow up-and-coming drivers to feel what it's like to battle on the same tarmac as Vettel and Hamilton have. With this track, American race fans finally get to experience a purpose-built course made in the modern day. Texas went bigger and better, and in the process, raised the bar for their peers. DJ, we're all used to the full version of Circuit of the Americas, but tonight it's the East Course. Why don't you introduce our viewers?
Well, Joe, as you said, this is a little bit smaller than we are used to seeing here at COTA. What we normally think of is that closing part of the S's where it really tightens down at the end. That really makes up our first couple of corners. And then the run down to the hairpin onto the back straight, and then the very tricky, now added left-hander coming off of that. That's going to be a real area of a contention and a real area that we may be able to see some overtaking done. The first sector in this track through those S's, though, in these 87 Cup cars, it's going to be very tricky. Drivers are going to have to be very careful and just try to keep the car as wound up as possible. It's really going to be the case here today that I don't think maybe the fastest guy may win. It's going to be the person who can keep the thing pointed straight the longest.
It's just always tough on Forge Ring Friday, but let's mention our sponsors before we get to the cars on the track. Starting with Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Now, we, of course, have some race details as usual. And DJ, for our viewers that have not watched a Forge Ring Friday, why don't you run us down?
Well, for anybody who hasn't seen Forge Ring Friday, you are in for a treat tonight. The way this series works is these drivers are going to be out on track for a 40-minute race. The caveat, they have 4 adult beverages next to them. Now, they can be the standard 12 ounces of beer, or they can be another beverage of their choice, but if it is less than those 12 ounces per single container, they have to compensate with water as well. So everybody's drinking the same amount. Now, what happens is that drivers have to be at a complete stop in order to drink their beverage. They can stop right from the beginning of the race, not move at all, and have one then. They can go around and pick a point to stop during the course of the race. There's a lot of strategy that actually comes involved in it. And now, of course, there are some drivers that are DDs tonight, and they will have to take pit stops to supplement those times. But the biggest thing out of all of it is they cannot drink and drive. You have to come to a complete stop in order to consume your beverage. But outside of that, as we said, we're on the 87 Cup cars. It's a 40-minute race, and Joe, it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I actually went out myself to give this a try because I was curious, and it is harder than I anticipated as we see Ron Palmer, one of our designated drivers tonight, take one of the hardest turns here. Doesn't look like it, just a simple left-hander, but these things don't like to stop once they get going, and that long backstretch is the longest acceleration zone of the track, and there you can see just how tough it is as the number 2 whips it around in a circle coming through the first corner. Mohmeyer also going to try to take turn 6 and locking up the left front. I think we'll see a lot of that today as well. Tires getting locked up, cars spinning around and doing their best to just keep it going. Honestly, that's really part of the show. A big part of the show, I think, is just the silliness of the combinations they tend to find here. Usually something extremely difficult on its own, so adding in the alcohol kind of adds to the circus value.
Very much so, Joe, and I was actually thinking about some of the drinking strategy before this race, and I've got to say, I think there may be a few guys that choose to hold off on taking those drinks as long as possible because this car is a handful sober. And if we see some of the early drinking strategies that we've seen employed in the past, it may bite a couple of drivers very hard.
Absolutely. And it's not the first time they've used these Cup cars, these 87 Cup cars for Drink Friday. So this is sort of a return to what it started with when they went to Watkins Glen for the first ever event for this series. And that really kicked things off and gave us an idea of what we were in for with this. This is Jeffrey Shulam, currently third on the grid right now in his Ford Thunderbird. We've got everybody with a lap, which in itself was kind of impressive. I know I struggled just to get a clean one in when I was kind of tootling around here. I can imagine trying to really push the car like they are. That's kind of why it doesn't surprise me, DJ, that we saw so many of them take so long to get a lap down here in qualifying.
Exactly, Joe. This is a really, really tricky combination. These cars do not like coming down to these speeds, especially at a hyper-modern track like COTA. It is an absolute handful. We watch Shulam there, and here comes Johnson. Let's see how he does. He is currently your pole sitter right now. Great onboard shot. We can see just how he's going to have to work his hands to try to make this turn 6 work.
Yeah, and on board, man, it just feels like the thing is creeping around. Can't even see a whole lot over that dash, but looks like he managed to keep that within the bounds. Michael W. Johnson actually holds our pole position right now. And interestingly, Michael does a lot of driver coaching at this track in real life, so maybe a bit of an unfair advantage for the number 9.
It may be an unfair advantage, but I'm going to gander just an estimate here that he probably hasn't run this combination out on circuit, so it's still a little bit of a challenge for him.
Well, see, there we go. We need to get him in touch with somebody who owns one of these cars and say, take it out, give it a run and see how he does in the real thing. But the Texas driver has about 2/10 over Ron Palmer, who currently is second out on the course. Just about 5 minutes left for them to set the fastest lap. Honestly, I don't expect qualifying to be as important here. I would think you're probably feeling the same, right, DJ?
No, I think this is really and truly going to come down to what happens in the race itself, and it's really going to be an issue of survival more than anything, and just seeing how that goes. And like I said, also drink strategy to see where and when you choose to take it. The one thing to keep in mind, though, they do thankfully have damage turned off on these cars, so as long as you are not stuck in a barrier or on your lid, you are going to be able to keep going.
Now, the bad news is we have seen drivers get stuck on their lid or actually get booted off of the course. If you, of course, leave the bounds of the track, for instance, going over the fences, over the walls, you can find yourself automatically towed back to the pit. So there are concerns out there, but yeah, like you said, no damage is on. Also, we do want to remind our viewers, especially impressionable ones, that this is all simulated, so please do not actually drink and drive. This is all people who are just having some fun in the virtual world. And always, of course, please make sure that you drink responsibly as well. So, on the number 3 here. Now, I did notice, I noticed this paint scheme here before. The Thunderbird, the McDonald's Thunderbird is themed around Batman Forever, but it even says Thunderbat at the bottom of it.
Oh, Joe, I don't know what's better in this series, the racing, the fun, or the schemes these guys come up with. They are always something amazing.
I'm just trying to figure out how he made this mental connection. There must have been an actual Thunderbird, not from this year, because that movie was, I'd say it was 93 or 94, somewhere around there. I'm trying to remember when exactly. But yeah, I was a young impressionable lad when Batman Forever came out, so just sort of a funny combination. There's Ron Palmer. Still not able to get a quicker one in than his 52.5 to try and close down on Michael W. Johnson. Schulem, actually, who we were just watching in the Batman-themed car, sits in 3rd right now. We've also got Steve Town and John Momar. Actually, a surprising amount of designated drivers here tonight. 3 of the 5 are designated drivers. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your take on it. Okay, so I don't know if our cameras will pick this up. Can we look at Ron Palmer? I don't think this is part of the designated course, even though he's a designated driver. Yeah, there you go. He's taken off for the regular Grand Prix course.
I believe that would be called taking a new line. Yeah, is he going backwards through the S's?
No, he's in the triple apexer right now. So yeah, he is running the regular direction, but I think maybe the sim did not like what he was doing, because he seems to have left the server. Hopefully they've got an admin on top of that, and he can get back in, so we don't have 4 cars now running the track.
Oh my goodness gracious. Here comes Johnson, seeing if he can do anything at all. Joe, I love this series. I really do. It's always so fantastic to see these guys having a good time.
Oh, no. So Michael Johnson, and he improves on his lap time. Holy cow, now half a second ahead of Ron Palmer, who would be chasing him if he was still in the session. Crossing fingers that he returns. And that last one was a 52.074. Impressive stuff from Johnson, showing why he is indeed a real-life driver coach at this track. And we've only got a few seconds left in the qualifying, so we're going to be gridding up pretty soon. Then we'll have 40 minutes of racing, with a few of those minutes, of course, allotted to some drinking for our drivers. Checkered flag flies, so that means that the qualifying session will end, as I do believe they are able to finish their hot laps here as well.
Yeah, they are, and it looks like right now Steve Town coming in to round the corner. Let's see if he is able to improve. Yes, he was. Nice job, Steve. He's on pole, Joe.
Whoa! By 1.1 seconds as well. He absolutely trounced Johnson. Now, I think John Momeyer is able to come through and be the last one to take a lap here. Let's see if this one counts. He's still plumb last, and that big lockup says to me it doesn't matter what he does on this lap. I don't think that's going to be a quick one. And he went awful wide there. Yep, that one did not count. And that will be now officially the last of our qualifiers. Wow, Steve Town suddenly showing his cards at the very end of things. I'm not sure if he was trying to play a blinder or if that was legitimate, just a Hail Mary at the end.
I couldn't tell you there, Joe, but I have to imagine Michael W. Johnson's not going to take kindly to that, as this is his track.
The gloves have been thrown down. So let's go through our starting order here today. It is Steve Town on the pole. He's got Michael W. Johnson starting to his outside, and Ron Palmer will hopefully start in third.
Behind Ron will be Jeffrey Schulam in fourth and John Momeyer in fifth.
Just getting some information. Looks like Matt Hollander is driving for Steve Town. I'm not sure if this is accurate. We're just getting this information in the text chat. We'll find out if this is for real or if we're having a practical joke played on us in the background. Meanwhile, waiting for... oh, no, this is a standing start. Oh, this will be interesting. A standing start with 87 NASCAR Cup cars. I don't think I've ever seen that with these machines. Who has got the throttle down, as they do have quite a bit of power as the clock ticks down and all of them are out. So the lights come up, the engines start to rev, and the green flag is out. Whoa, immediately off to the side, almost running into his rival. That was Johnson. Not sure if he was trying to pull off and take some drinks or if he was legitimately trying to cut off the number 2, but they are all through. And Jeffrey Schulam, who is a ways back, seems to have either gotten a poor start and maybe was trying to take a drink.
I think he may have, but he didn't fully pull off to the side. And I have to say, in regards to Michael W. Johnson there, yeah, I'm not sure what he was doing, if that was an attempted drink or if that was is that sound off?
Oh, and he gets hit. That was Ron Palmer getting into him, unfortunately. And then as Momeyer goes off track, he is also going to get into Hollander once again. So Michael Johnson immediately takes the lead on the first lap. Did Momeyer take a drink there? Not seeing anybody marking it down in the text chat, so we still supposedly have all 5 sober drivers.
Yeah, nobody designated to take it there, but everybody may be sober, but the action is certainly intense here as Johnson continues to lead. He's got about a gap of 3 seconds back to Ron Palmer.
I did notice that it doesn't surprise me too much that we saw Town/Hollander spin through that hairpin. To me, it seemed extremely tough to drive these things through the slower corners.
Yeah, it really is, Joe. These Cup cars are obviously designed for speedways. I mean, that's what they are there to do. And even at the road courses that NASCAR would occasionally run, thinking of Watkins Glen or Sonoma, those courses are not really known for hyper slow corners. It's a lot of sort of fast sweepers. So even the hairpin at the end of Sonoma, very, very fast as hairpins go, as Ron Palmer sets the fastest lap of the race.
Trying to chase down Michael Johnson. He's got about 4 seconds to make up at this stage. Oh, and Ron Palmer just spun off the 2, another one of our designated drivers, so he can't use this to take a time to sit and drink. In fact, he might, yes, indeed, he lost second to Schulam. Let's take a look at the replay.
Looks like a big overcook there going into turn 1. Now this is that sweeper section. The S is there. It starts to turn on him through the right-hander. Just tags a little bit of the barrier, keeps his foot in it to keep it going. Good for him. And now he is going to be in hot pursuit of Schulam. That is Schulam right up ahead of him.
So it's a race for second instead. About a second splitting them as they come up to the braking into turn 6. Both of them creeping along. Big front lockup for the number 3 as he just drags that left front through the corner.
Yeah, big time. Everybody very thankful that iRacing has not yet implemented the flat spots here on these cars. Looks like, though, that Schulam didn't get the best exit there through turn 1, and now he's got Ron Palmer for company. Let's see if they can keep everything together as they exit the S as they do. But, oh, behind them, Steve Town doing his best Tokyo Drift impersonation.
He caught it up and over turn 2, but turn 3, rather. Thankfully, didn't spin it completely around.
You can see him. As I say, you can see him getting very squiggly there through turn 1 and decided to take a little cut over the grass, drifted the car across. Very, very scruffy section for him, but we've got a pass for second, it looks like.
Down to the inside, looking for it into turn 6, but Schulem is going to hold him behind. Hopefully, no, he's going to overcook the corner. He goes way wide, and there goes Ron Palmer easily through. Will Town also? No, he gets into the back of him. Now he finds a lane open through turn 1, and the 5, those sliding around, will manage to snag third position.
Will indeed, but he's going to lose it just as quickly. Goes around in that same spot we saw 2 laps ago. Town able to gather it back up and keep going, but that's going to compromise him, and he will lose third place.
Still nobody putting drinks down. I think everybody's taking your advice about waiting as long as possible to try and down those, just to get through this race and not have to struggle with inebriation. Now, Michael Johnson, because of the problems that everybody's had, just simply keeping the cars pointed in the right direction, he's a full 16 seconds ahead of Ron Palmer, and we're only 5 minutes into this race.
Exactly. He may have to contend with a little bit of lap traffic, though, as this gets up and going at some point. You watch him here making his way towards that hairpin on the top of the circuit. No brake locks up from the Texan, able to keep it nice and smooth.
Now, as you can see, our designated drivers, if you're wondering, if they have that little parentheses next to their name, that they are a DD today. And Johnson's reasoning is actually quite interesting for this. We've mentioned this in prior broadcasts, but if this is your first time watching, since he is a driver's coach, well, he sometimes works on Saturdays, and they're not allowed to drink within a certain number of hours of work sometimes. So he's not allowed to partake in this style of racing in that way sometimes on the 4-Drink Fridays. So that's why he is a DD on these many nights. Let's take a look at third place, rather, because Schulem is now being run down by Town once again. They're starting to lose Ron Palmer in front of them as they come around to start lap 7 up through the S's. The 3 has a mirror full of Wrangler.
Does indeed. Very bad exit there out of the S, or out of that first section of the S's into that sweeping left-hander. Very wide line for the 5. He's going to turn him!
Into the barriers, the 3 goes. And does Jeffrey finally take a drink here? No, he's going to keep it going. Let's take a look at the replay.
You can see these guys were just in a straight-out drag race as they went down this little backstretch area. And yeah, a little bit of shoving there from Steve Town. I believe that's what we would call rubbing in the world of NASCAR.
I think Steve didn't necessarily know he had the car next to him because he was trying to come back onto the track, but Schulem is taking his first drink now. As you can see with him stationary at the side of the track, they are required to pull off of the racing line to a safe spot so that they don't hinder anybody. So now he is on his way. He is a lap down, but think of it sort of like either a joker lap or a pit stop. So he will regain that later as others have to take their stop. Battle continues now for second place, going deep into it. The number 2 over Cook's turn 5 rather, and hands over second to Steve Town.
So Town back up into that second place, although it doesn't look like Ron Palmer wants to give that away quite as easily. Both have to get on the binders here super early in order to even attempt to make that turn, and indeed, that's Town running wide, Palmer back through.
If you lose a spot, just don't make mistakes and you'll get an opportunity apparently. So Palmer back into second. Now pretty much half the lap behind Michael Johnson. Michael is looking smooth as whiskey.
He certainly is, and just absolutely driving this car to perfection. Is there, you can see him bringing it down. None of that sort of what we've come to expect of brake lockups there coming through that final turn 6.
In fact, he even looks tidy all the way through that section as Momeyer and the number 1 just had an issue and spun himself. Now Momeyer won't be able to make this one back up as it just goes off into the gravel. Momeyer won't be able to make this one up because both he and Johnson are designated drivers, so he doesn't have the same sort of situation that Schulem does where he's going to get some time back.
No, he doesn't. So he's going to be in a little bit of trouble with that, but currently running in fourth ahead of Shulam. He will have to do one of those compulsory pit stops, though, as we talked about, being the DD.
Well, now things start to spread apart. Ron Palmer as well, he did pull away from Steve Town, and unfortunately, the 3 gets turned as he tries to come back on the course after a half spin. The 5 able to overtake. And once again, Steve is into position as Shulam's going to take drink number 2.
Well, that's a great strategy. No, that's it. Was that a toe in a DC?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's blinking. I think that's some connection problems there. Maybe he spilled a little bit of his drink on his modem.
I hope not, Joe. Otherwise, that means that computer would be drunk too, and that's not good for anybody. But we're going to check back in on the battle for second.
That's why it's blinking, obviously. Meanwhile, the 5 still has a great battle going on with Ron Palmer for best of the rest as the 2 accelerates up and over the hill, coming back down. Taking a lot of liberties with the track limits here, but they can. There's no incident limit for this series. He's going to send it in deep. Can he manage to get it back on track in that position? Oh, he's going to have to come all the way across, almost through the grass. It's a better run from the 5. He could maybe try and outbrake him into turn 6. He's going to take a look. No, late defense from Ron Palmer. And into the corner, way around the outside. Can he actually get that done? No, Steve Town. Oh, they're both almost spinning out. And at least Steve catches it, but Ron Palmer does not.
Oh, that was a spin that you could just follow for about 300 yards there. That car never looked stable after it came around turn 6.
So that puts him way behind. It's now 7 seconds splitting the 5 and the 2. One last look, well, not a last look, I hope, on Michael Johnson as he has extended it to 32 seconds ahead of P2.
Yeah, Johnson just continuing to just set the pace here. Have to imagine he's looking at those lap times, probably going to start taking those compulsory pit stops once he's been able to build up enough of a gap that he thinks he can come out in the lead.
John Momeyer still in 4th now that Shulam has taken 2 stops for drinks. In fact, he's about to lap Shulam, it looks like. We've got a drink from the number 5. He's off at the side of the backstretch, and if I'm reading this right, he's going to try and take all 4 at the same time?
That is a very, very bold strategy there from Steve Town, and I do not envy his liver tonight.
Yeah, same. We'll see if it pays off, Cotton, as he is definitely stationary for quite a while. Yeah, this might actually be accurate. Now, we get this information from the text chat in the sim. The drivers usually will give a designation if they intend to drink, just to kind of help us out up here in the booth. And Town, yeah, looks like he's really going for it. So, going to just take them all in one go with about a half an hour left. Hopefully that's enough time to sober up a little bit. Lord help him trying to wheel that thing around this circuit. However, one thing I do want to watch, since he seems to be the master of this place today, DJ, why don't you talk us through a lap behind the wheel with Michael Johnson, and let's see how a great driver tries to cycle around this Texas circuit.
Well, Joe, as you can see here, it's a very, very short pit straight. Get onto the brakes very early and slowly but surely let the car drift onto the outside here. Now, you're coming through the S's. You really don't want to use a whole lot of brake through here. It's a lot of just lifting in the throttle and not carrying too much speed. Let it run wide there through the exit. Clip the curb there just like you would in any other car. Now, coming up for the brake, you want to brake before that signboard and let the car get all wound down. Bring it back on. Don't try to trail brake too much or the car may spin. Let it run out to the outside there. Take a lot of curb. The car's very, very soft. It will take it. And now you get to breathe for a minute. You're on this long back straightaway. And now we line up for this final corner. Like I said, you've got to brake super early to get that thing wound down. No tire smoke for Michael W. Johnson. Takes it through the left-hander and back on for another lap.
And that's how you do it. That was 54 seconds to get around one lap here at the east coast of COTA. as that was happening, Ron Palmer came into pit lane, but it was a very, very long stop. I'm not sure if he maybe got a speeding penalty or something, because a full pit stop should not take very long. So that was unusual.
He is a DD, Joe, and he may have elected to see if he could take 2 stationary cycles in the box or something like that. That may have been part of the strategy there.
Not sure if they're allowed to do that, because I think part of their stops are actually they have to drive through the pit lane. That was very interesting. We'll try to get to the bottom of that, but he's returned in 3rd place, about a half a lap behind Momeyer. All cars are now a lap down from our leader, Michael Johnson, who continues to cycle unabated. And whoa! And there's a good example of something I experienced when I hopped in these cars. How did he do that? And
Hey!
I give it a 9.5.
I was a little messy.
Can we get
in the
an
middle.
onboard replay?
8.5.
Let's get it. Well, it's a good thing that that was Palmer, right? That we were watching there. Yeah, this is Ron Palmer. I was going to say, it's a good thing as a DD. I have a feeling if he was going up and over and he'd already had a few drinks, I wouldn't want to... That cockpit might have the drinks back in them, not inside his stomach.
You know, Joe, I've heard about the rollover in these cars, but I never thought I would see it at about 3 miles an hour, but you can see just how unstable they are there.
I was just about to say, I experienced the front wheel getting off the ground through some of the corners. That was absolutely wild. He managed to put the thing over. He is now running in 3rd place, so Momeyer up into 2nd after going past the barrel-rolled number 2. John's been having a heck of a time down with the hairpin at turn 5. He kind of goes by the camera, not really within the shot that Dougie thought he would take. He did eventually make the corner, and he's still in 2nd place, but he's a lap down from the number 9.
In John's defense, he made the corner. It was just a different corner than everybody else was running here tonight. So there he goes, and big lockup coming down into turn 6, but able to get that thing a little closer onto the track.
So when are we going to see more drivers come through pit lane? Because Palmer's the only one so far. And each of the designated drivers should be in at some point. Momeyer, Johnson, both need to come in and take multiple stops. And then we've seen Shulam stop twice. Now, I'm not sure if he's had more than that. I'm checking here. It's hard to tell. He's had so many spins that I'm not sure which one are spins and which one are stops for drinks.
It is one of the things, but here you see just a little bit of fun. This obviously just being a for the fun of it league. That was the number 3 of Shulam. Having a little fun racing your leader there, even though he is about 3 laps down.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to cost Johnson much of anything at this stage. As you can see from on board just how big of a lockup that was from the one of Momeyer. Oh, and down into the corner, both of them going wide. Even Johnson starting to struggle now that these tires are getting a bit old.
Exactly, and remember, these tires not exactly used to turning right all the time, so definitely a little bit of different wear than the car is used to getting. But we see here he does come up behind now the number 1 of John Momeyer. That is 2nd place. This is to put 2nd place 2 laps down.
Well, the good news is the cars actually don't have to turn right all that much. There's only one right-hand turn in the 6-corner track. So they certainly are at least used to going that direction, just not maybe at those sorts of speeds. And not sure if that was some defense or some weaving or what was going on. And he's going to outbrake himself anyways. There goes Momeyer into pit lane. Is he going into pit lane? Who knows? He's going somewhere, eventually back onto the track, and the number 1 returns.
Comes back onto the track. I think he wanted to go see what the infield section was like for the rest of the Circuit of the Americas there, but winding it back up. So yeah, Joe, that means that we really haven't seen any of these DDs take their stops yet.
Yeah, Palmer's the only one so far, and that was for tires and I assume fuel as well, because I did see him go up on the jacks. We're just about at the halfway point as well. So it's getting to where I'm pretty certain some of them will want to start executing on that strategy. Going past the camera there at the end of the straight, Michael Johnson. And there went Momeyer as well, following him. Now 2 laps down. I think Momeyer is, yes, now Momeyer for sure is into pit lane.
All right, he is indeed. We see him here. Obviously, a little bit of an unorthodox pit lane, as it were. Not used to seeing it here at COTA. Stationary there, waiting. He is going to get tires.
I think that's the right call, to be honest. No matter if it's a drive-through or not, I feel like in these cars I would probably be taking some fresh rubber, because you need all the help you can get to get some grip around this track. Let's see if he takes off immediately, and yes, he does. So, okay, so that is a more typical stop that we're used to, that we tend to expect, about 22 seconds or so, while Palmer's was over a minute. So I'm pretty certain that the 2 copped some sort of penalty, and Johnson is in now.
All right. And this is a little battle we've actually got on track here, Joe. This is 4th and 5th, Schulem and Town.
I don't think it is anymore. There goes Schulem, and Town's going to get into 4th with that. And Schulem, well, I'm not sure where he's going. There's the track. Now turn right. He's going to drink.
Oh, okay,
so
sorry.
He needed directions to get to the rest stop is what he needed, apparently. So that moves Town back up into 4th, as Schulem takes what we count as probably his 3rd out of 4 drinks. A little bit of a spin up of the rear tires for Town as Palmer goes by. So now all 3 of our designated drivers have made at least 1 stop in pit lane.
Yes, they have. And remember, they've got 3 more to do before the end of this race. We've seen a lot of times, Joe, in For Drink Friday, that the DDs are put at a little bit of a disadvantage, courtesy of, well, let us say, the consumption rates by some of their competitors. And so let's see if that plays out here. Steve Town, obviously the highest ranked non-DD right now in 4th, 2 laps down from Johnson, but Johnson's still got to do 3 more of those roughly 22-second stops.
Yeah, there we see the number 9 working his way up through the lone right-hander through turn 2, then back over 3. Not exactly like a Formula 1 car as it comes over the crest. Braking hard down into the hairpin, which is usually turn 11. Today, it is turn 5. Trying to find that apex, that lonely apex there at the middle, and then getting back up to speed. Now, these things do have a lot of grunt. He's already up to 135, 140 miles an hour, 145 before he finally gets on the brakes and slows it down.
Yeah, they really do have a lot of torque built up in there, but very, very hard to get slowed down, as I believe we've got some more pitters here, Joe.
Yeah, Schulem and Town are both in. Now, this is typical of this series. They do limit them on fuel usually, so they have to come in at least for 1 stop. But once these 2 are out, they shouldn't need to come in anymore after this.
No, they shouldn't. And these are our 2 drinkers tonight. So by my count, Schulem either is done or has 1 more to go. Town, obviously, with that mega chug early on, was able to get all of his drinks taken care of early.
And now he is rolling. For a while there, he and I think it was Momeyer were on the same lap. Now Town has gone a lap down from the number 1. In fact, Palmer and Momeyer are on the same lap, about 21 seconds apart. So that could wind up being a bit close between them. Not if the 1 keeps doing like that out of turn 5, though.
And I got to say, that was a very, very scruffy lap on the whole. Had a very similar incident happen to him coming through the S's, so lost a lot of time there, did John Momeyer.
Trying to think, have we seen a spin at all? Of course, we've seen a couple off tracks from the 9, but I want to say that this has been relatively smooth sailing from Johnson for the whole way.
I'm racking my brain, Joe, and I think you're right. He really has driven just about as perfect as you can drive in this odd combination of car and track.
Now we've got the number 5. Oh, is the 5 taking another drink? He was parked on the outside of turn 5. And now he's moving once again. So that was unusual. I saw him in reverse and was trying to figure out how in the world he got where he was.
Yeah, very strange incident there for him. Just missed his braking zone in that, but that looks like that's the number 2. That's Ron Palmer off track.
Let's take another look at this one. This is into turn 1, maybe? No, that looks smooth. Switches back into the right-hander of 2. And, the rear just pendulumed around.
Yeah, just took a little bit too much speed there through the corner. Love him just keeping that pedal floored, though. If you could see those tires spinning, just trying to keep going as hard as possible.
I'm sure that's not making it all that much easier to try and drive this thing, lighten them up that way, and then heading off as he comes down to start lap 26 now for him. And we're less than 15 minutes to go. Boy, tire marks abound around this track as drivers struggle to try and whip these heavy beasts around Circuit of the Americas. Still have not seen a second or third stop out of our designated drivers quite yet.
Yeah, it's a little bit surprising, Joe. I would have expected to see more of them start to come in once we crossed over that 20-minute mark. I wonder if we're going to see an absolute flurry, though, at the end of just everybody coming in.
Yeah, in the past, they've often, as the 9 puts another lap there on the number 5. In the past, the designated drivers have often taken all their drive-throughs at the very beginning, just to get it out of the way and get a sense of where they sit for the remainder of the race. But no one has employed that this time. I'm not sure if maybe they decided that strategy didn't work as well as they thought, or what.
The only real argument I could see against it, Joe, is that if you're in a good rhythm and you're running well like Michael W. Johnson is, do everything you can do not to break that up. Just keep running until the last possible minute to dive in, and maybe that's what he's thinking, that he'll just take him on the last couple of consecutive laps.
Just rifling him off here, now up to lap 30, and still 2 laps ahead of his nearest competitor, which is still Ron Palmer. And I just saw Palmer heading in. All right, here we go. This might be our drive-throughs.
Indeed, I think it is. There you see on your screen Ron Palmer coming in. So if our calculations are right, this will be his second stop. He'll have 2 more to go.
Comes to a halt. Now, that's not in his space. Okay, there we go. So they must have a rule this time about having to come to a complete stop or something. And now he gets back on track, still 2 laps down, so he managed not to lose another lap. I see John Momeyer in.
Yeah, John coming in as well, so that's 2 for him as well. A little bit of a faster stop there for John, so not exactly sure. Oh, almost loses it coming out of the pits.
Lit him up, trying to get on the power. Discovered, and also Michael Johnson. Now, did he stop? Yes, he did. I went and checked. He did before we went to it. So, all playing by the same rules, came to a complete halt, and now he's running. So, they've all 3 got 2 times through the pits under their belt.
Yeah, looking back to see, no, I thought for a second there Ron Palmer was coming in, but he just ran wide coming through turn 6, so not that for him. Michael Johnson continues to lead here, 2 laps over his other DD competitors, while the drinking gentlemen tonight, Jeffrey Shulam and Steve Towns, they are 4 and 5 laps down respectively, so that delta looking very hard to make up.
Absolutely. Schulem has about a lap on the nearest DD right now. That's John Momeyer. But I believe we said 4 stops, or 4 drive-throughs, right, for our DDs today. So Momeyer, I would think, needs 2 more, and Johnson's doing one of them right now.
Yep, he is just rattling them off here. So Johnson only has 1 more to go. By my calculation, Momeyer and Palmer both need 2 more.
Palmer's going to keep going. He doesn't stop in. What about Momeyer? Let's see if he decides now's a good time to give that up. He's locking him up. He's going to go very deep into turn 6, but he's not coming into pit lane.
All right, so time definitely starting to wind down for him. Under 11 minutes to go here. Not a lot of time to make this work for the driver of the number 1.
Interestingly, it's come down to about 15 seconds between Palmer and Momeyer right now. That's for 2nd place overall. That's our closest fight on the track. Whoa, and it's not going to be all that close if he keeps doing that. We've seen him have a number of moments. And okay, this is interesting. We're also getting word that Steve Town is actually getting in the car for Hollander now.
Interesting. So these guys taking this as a little bit of a Le Mans style race and doing some driver swaps here today. Gotta say, I kind of love it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is we'll have to get the story behind this one, because this is a new one for me in this league. And I think I saw Schulem maybe take his last drink there. I think he maybe pulled off for a brief moment. So we take a look at Ron Palmer pulling away from Momeyer bit by bit, about 17 seconds, what was 15 before. And Momeyer locking him up in a big way behind him.
Jumping back, we're going to go on board here with Momeyer as he gets this big lockup. Very gingerly taking the car out of the S's. That's a good line to run. Clips a little bit of the grass. That can bite you, but he's able to take it. Ooh, car's a little bit skittish there. Starts to get onto the binders, and there you can see just too much force going in there. Still able to get it gathered back under him, but obviously missed the apex courtesy of that lockup.
And that just simply does not help him in his bid to try and take 2nd place. 8 minutes left now. We're still waiting for the last time through for Johnson, Palmer, and Momeyer. This doesn't look like it's going to hand back enough, though, because I see Schulem is roughly 2 laps behind Momeyer at this stage.
Yeah, and the whole delta in the pit lane's about 40 seconds or so. It might. It'll be close. He'll have to put in some mega laps here, but Schulem not exactly driving at his peak here, but still a little bit faster than Momeyer, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
That was Johnson put in another lap on him. The other problem is somebody else messing up and causing you issues, too. That just occurred to me that as he follows Johnson, he could easily miss a braking point and accidentally clip that 9, send him around, lose him some time. Obviously, no damage to worry about, but time is of the essence in this race.
It most certainly is. We continue to watch them as they make their way through the S's. You see Momeyer just very ginger around these corners. I've got to say that's the right way to do it.
Absolutely. And as the seconds tick down, credit to Palmer in that number 2 machine. He's got it up to 19 seconds now. I think Ron has gotten a handle on how to try and drive these things around a road course. His lap time's not super consistent, but I mean, staying consistent in these things is probably a much wider range than what we're used to in racing.
Very much so, Joe. You know, these things are hard enough to control when they are in their element, driving around at about 200 miles an hour on a super speedway. I cannot even imagine trying to be absolutely millimeter perfect lap after lap on a track like this.
And for 40 minutes, too, on top of it, as Ron now gets started on lap 35, coming around the first corner. Maybe missing a bit the first corner, and then eventually getting to turn 2. 2 laps down from Michael Johnson, left scratching his head on how to be that fast. Yeah, this looks a little bit better than what we saw at the start of this race, with drivers just tails wagging every single corner. Let's see if he can find the apex this time. Nope, don't think so.
Yeah, that one didn't exactly work out for him there, but still able to keep it pointed the right way. I'm keeping an eye on our DDs here, Joe. Nobody deciding to come in yet, and we've got just under 6 minutes to go.
And again, they do have time. They can leave it until essentially the last lap. It's just they can't go until the final lap and cross the line in the pits to finish the race. It has to be before that.
Yeah, they have instituted the no Schumacher rule, as it were, in that regard.
Here he goes. Mollmeier's going to take it now with about 5 minutes left to go. And this is the one that Schulem is chasing 2 laps down. They have to obey the speed limit on this pit lane. Is he going to take tires? It looks like he might take tires here. Well, he missed his pit stall. That didn't help things.
No, it certainly didn't. That's going to be a blessing, though, to Jeffrey Schulem. Yes, he is going to take tires here.
So, this will definitely help Schulem. It'll be a little bit of extra time that he'll start to regain. It's a single lap between them, but I don't think he's going to be able to get on the same lap out of this. Mollmeier's on his way.
All right, so Mollmeier with fresh rubber, that may help him a little bit to try to extend that gap if he's worried about it. But remember, he still has one more left to do here with 4 minutes to go.
I think Town is now the only driver that shares a lap with somebody else, which is Schulem. And Johnson is heading into the pits for his final run through.
Yeah, so that's going to be his final one. Now we are waiting to see when Ron Palmer is going to take his final 2 as we watch Johnson make his way through the pit lane.
Is he also going to take tires? It looks like it. Yes, he's going to take some fresh ones.
I think that's a good call there from Johnson. Why risk anything at this point in the race? Get new tires, feel a little bit better about the car. It's just a good way to cover anything off if you're worried about that time.
Absolutely. I mean, he had a 2-lap advantage, so it wasn't like he was under pressure. He's got a free pit stop, and he's on his way. That is effectively it, strategy-wise. So, unless Michael Johnson has some sort of very strange moment, this is his race to lose. That's the spinning car of Mollmeier, actually, that you see all that smoke coming from.
Well, that advantage of the fresh rubber he just took may be peeled off a little bit by that spin. But John continues to go ahead here. He's got a lap over Schulem as it is.
Palmer's going to run out of time himself unless he comes in within the next, 2 laps or so? Doesn't go in this time. He's not going to get too many cycles back around to be able to duck in, unless he did a 4th and we missed it.
I think he still needs to do a 3rd, Joe, or am I crazy on that?
I'm trying to remember. Huh. Well, I mean, we'll find out soon enough. I don't think it would change the order, though, because Mollmeier's still a full lap behind the 2.
Yeah, he is. He's got 2 laps on him, I think. So he'll be able to come in here and do this, but he is running out of time. I think he may have 3 laps to go at the line if he's lucky.
Well, let's see. He's coming down to that pit entry, but he's braking early. He's going to try and make the corner. Yeah, he's going to cut the corner, actually. And that might actually be a slowdown penalty for him. So at 54 seconds a lap, Johnson coming to the line. We are 2 laps to go.
All right, there you go. That is 2 laps for Ron Palmer and for John Mohmeyer to make their final stops. Mohmeyer coming through the final corner right now.
Yeah, Mohmeyer starting his next lap. Only thing that makes me a little sad is wish we would have had more cars, because this would have been an absolute hoot with a whole field of machines out there. But unfortunately, as things start to open up around this country, the tracks are included in that, and many drivers were at the track this weekend, hence why we had maybe a limited attendance, but definitely looking forward to next month when we have our next event, to seeing who shows up and what kind of wacky combination they have then. White flag comes out for the number 9. 1 more lap to go.
Indeed, so there he's only got 1 more to take this all the way through. Little bit of brake lock up there from him. This has been a dominant performance from Michael W. Johnson.
Well, Palmer would have to come in this time by, if he still has drive-throughs to do, because he's still ahead by just a few seconds here. Yeah, there you see him right there, coming off the corner, as long as he doesn't get lapped.
Exactly, and by the time he slows down for the pit lane, he would be lapped, and I think that could be race over for him.
That's a good point. Well, this is going to be close. Does he actually go in? No, he's not. So maybe he took it when we weren't looking. We'll find out soon enough, because Michael Johnson takes the checkered flag and wins for Drink Friday here for April.
We said it before, we'll say it again. A dominant performance from a driver on his home track. Absolutely wonderful. We watch here Ron Palmer, your second place driver, as he's got a whole other circuit to do before he's able to take that second step on the podium.
Mohmeyer is going to finish in 3rd behind them. And it looks like Jeffrey Schulem will be next, coming across in 4th, with them all being on different laps. That's why we got the wacky order here. Nobody finished on the same lap in this field. That is pretty interesting, how that all worked out in the end. As the Thunderbat finally comes to the checkered flag. Going to be just off the podium, but it was a good run for Jeff. Podium positions going to Palmer. And then Steve Town wraps it up in 5th. That's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Circuit of the Americas. We just watched Four Drink Friday, and the winner this time was Michael W. Johnson, who has plenty of experience around here. Ron Palmer followed him home in second, with John Momeyer in third. Jeffrey Shulam and Steve Towns / Matt Hollander finished in fifth of our 5-car field. And I do believe that we have our winner ready to talk to us, Michael Johnson. Michael, congratulations. We kind of joked that you had an unfair advantage having been a driver coach here in real life, but we also were curious, do you know anybody who owns an old NASCAR Cup car that you could maybe take to the track?
Not of this era, but yeah, I do have a few clients around who have older Cup cars from various. I don't think anybody has anything quite as old as this one. This is the '87, I think, but I have a few with some mid '90s, early 2000s. So yeah, it's an interesting car. I'll give you that.
Well, then I have to ask: have you gotten to drive those stock cars around here?
On the full course, yes. On this oddball version, this would be a first. Yes, this is a first for this combination. I have driven. So if you're aware, there's an in-house racing school that's all over the country. Don't want to mention by name because I don't know if they want to be associated with Four Drink Fridays, but they teach out of here, and occasionally I get called up to come out, and we actually use that portion of the course in those open wheel cars to help with some technique and some understanding. A lot of braking drills and things will happen out there. So I am familiar using the course, but boy, with this car, I got to tell you, that was a challenge.
We thought it looked pretty difficult. Both of us had fun trying to wheel it, but both admitted it just was incredibly tough. I mean, talk to us a little bit about what it's like driving one of these things, because it was hard for us to explain to the viewers just what made it so difficult.
Well, it's like trying to stuff a wombat into a burlap bag. There's no chance to figure out anything that's going to go right, and you have to guess at every corner. And fortunately, it looks like I guessed right most of the time. But I have to admit, I was whining, not the good kind like Bordeaux, but I was like, this is not exciting. It's not fun. I'm not digging the course. I'm not digging the car. But you know what? Winning changes all of that.
It always does.
Yeah, I like it now. It was great.
Yeah, suddenly drivers seem to like a track a whole lot more when they take a victory. Well, congratulations, and hopefully we'll have something maybe a little more fun for you in the next combo.
Oh, I'm perfectly satisfied to do this again if it comes up, because that was a lot more fun than it appeared it would be during practice.
That was our winner, Michael Johnson, who won today for Four Drink Friday. And I believe up next we've got John Momeyer. Oh, no, he seems to have suddenly disappeared on us. So let's see who we have up next. Let's talk to Matt Hollander, who raced with a friend today and unfortunately finished at the end of the field, but looked like he still had some fun today. Matt, that looked like an absolute hoot. Can you enlighten us as to what the team challenge was about this evening? Was this a new rule implemented? Matt, do you have a copy? Might have to take a second to get Matt's microphone hooked up here, as he might be at a different rig than usual. So it looks like he's ducked out for a second. We might have Ron Palmer here. So he was our second place finisher, and DJ has caught up with him.
Well, Ron, second place, obviously a little off the pace of the hometown hero of Michael W. Johnson, but I think regardless, just to finish that race, you've got to feel pretty accomplished with.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. Yeah, Michael's kind of tough to follow. He's pretty darn fast.
Well, we heard him talk about it and just how difficult it was to get these big, heavy stock cars around this corner. How was it for you?
Yeah, not too bad for the first 5 laps, and the tires kind of fall off, and it was really difficult to keep it from either looping itself or pushing through the corner. But you know, we made it through. It was fun. Not a big crowd tonight, so it was a little bit easier. Not so much banging around. It was good.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, this is the question I always love to ask in For Drink Friday. We have amazing combinations of just drivers or of tracks and circuits that you'd never think of having. What do you want to see? What is the most out there thing you can imagine for us to get to see next time out?
You know, I like the off-road trucks like we did a while back at Laguna Seca. If there's something that we can get off track and then also get on track, that you know, I don't have a particular place. I just like that style of driving.
All right. Well, you heard it there. Ron Palmer wants to see those off-road tracks back on the For Drink Friday docket. Ron, congratulations again. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'm sure you probably need to relax a little bit after this one.
Yeah, that's for sure. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you.
Of course. And Joe, I think we're going to give another shot with Matt Hollander here.
Yes, indeed. Matt, this is Joe in the booth. You have a copy?
Joe, can you hear me now?
Now we gotcha. All right. I don't know if you heard my question before, but we were curious what spurred this new team effort, and was there a rules change that we weren't aware of?
I did hear your question earlier. I'm running remote on my phone this weekend. One of our board of director members for the Porsche Owners Club wanted a simulator and ordered all the stuff this year, and with all the back orders and everything. Everything finally came in. And so I've been out here since I flew in this morning. And about 30 minutes before the race, we got the sim together. And none of the screens are lined up whatsoever. But we figured we'd give it a run. And, you know, not being on my home setup, which is quite different than what we built, I just said, you know, hey, throw him in halfway through the race and I'll do the drinking.
So you did the drinking for both of you, I take it.
I mean, you know. That's usually the MO on my side, right? I mean, I think the reigning champ for this year so far for Drink Friday, you know, you can kind of sit back and relax and watch other people drive for you.
Exactly. Well, okay, then I have to ask, what does Steve think now that he's had a go?
You know, there was nothing but smiles when he came off the simulator. He actually was keeping a pretty decent pace for never being on a simulator before, being not a video game guy or anything, never done any video games or anything, hopped right in there, and he's done better than most that I've ever seen on a simulator. So should be pretty cool. The Porsche Owners Club actually just bought one of the old virtual GT simulator rigs that we're going to actually bring around to all the tracks with us to our real track events to help promote our sim racing.
Oh, that's very cool. I definitely want to see some pictures and things of that once you guys do that. Last question for you. Are you going to throw some 50-pound weights into somebody's car next time they're a driver coach at a track that you go to?
You know, Michael Johnson, he's fast. But, you know, he and I are also very close to each other. Porsche Owners Club, you know, racing stuff most of the time. So we'll see. You know, realistically, probably not. But, you know, I think everyone that races with us that is at that level or just a little bit below coaches at some level. And the home field advantage paid off for Michael tonight. But, you know, we'll see what happens. We've got Coda coming up on the actual Porsche Owners Club race on Monday. And let's see if he can hold the same pace there with the rest of the guys.
All right. That sounds fair to me. Before you take off, we're trying to clarify. We see a Pit Daddy up there and ready for interview. Is that town?
So Pit Daddy is actually Jeff Schulam. And you can ask him about that when you talk to him.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're going to be talking to Joshua here in a second then. So let's pull him in. I believe DJ is going to get him mic'd up here.
I have indeed. Jeffrey Schulam. Hold on, we don't have a copy on him at the moment. Let me check for it. There we go. Jeffrey, I guess the first thing we've got to ask you, what is the meaning with Pit Daddy?
Oh, looks like we're not getting him. I think might wrap things up for tonight, unfortunately. We'll try and talk to him another time. But in the meantime, of course, after all that fun, we want to thank our sponsors who help make this fun possible. Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank. Be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen, and additional thanks to Julie Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team, Sean, DJ, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support the channel, check out our merchandise store at GSRC, or at simracingmerch.com/GSRC, rather. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Next race for Drink Friday will be Friday, May 28th at 9:45 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.